Jumbo, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Safari Mack Returns to Africa. I'm Safari Mack, your guide and host, helping you make connections to the wild. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today's going to be a little bit of a special kind of episode because we're actually taking place at night. That's right, I'm taking you all on a little night safari in search of an animal that's not exactly well known and I personally believe deserves to have its chance to be in the spotlight. I'd like you all to meet the Aardvark, or known by their Latin name of Oriceratops afer. I know try saying that 3 times fast, but don't worry, there are other names and words that you're going to have to learn to say pretty quick. Even I have a hard time with it, but never mind that now. So we're going to get started on this night safari, but before we begin, hit that like and subscribe button, check out my Facebook page for content on conservation, and if you have a question or if there's an animal that you want me to do in the future, just send me an email, which you will always find the link to down in the description below. But if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's pitch up tent and explore. Now, this animal really has an unusual family. So, it's part of the order of Tubulidentata, is considered in this order. This is its own species. Which is actually kind of tricky because they have no direct descendants, or at least their family is even weirder. They are also part of another order called Aphrotheria, which is actually said to be what helps them be closely related to hyraxes, manatees or dugongs, elephant shrews, moles, even the elephant itself. I know, you're probably thinking, doesn't it look more like a pig or an anteater? Yes and yes. In fact, that's also how they get their kind of nickname earth pigs, but they're not related to any of that. They're actually, through molecular evidence or genetics, DNA, we've been able to confirm that this creature is actually related to these animals through evolution, as all these creatures were said to have originated from a common ancestor. Now, it's said that they were thought to have, the Tubulidentata were part of a group of early mammals that appeared roughly around 50 to 65 million years ago, and as the sole survivors of their lineage, they've been able to develop their own features that make them distinguishable from other animals. And they were said to have, the modern ones were said to have originated roughly around 20 million years ago. So from 20 million years to today, this is the creature that we know. Now, it's already easy to tell that this is a nocturnal animal, but let's talk about their habitat. You can find them basically almost anywhere, from dry savanna to scrubland to woodlands, savannas, but you will never see them in mountainous regions. And they are not considered to be the most social of animals, preferring to spend their days and time alone, only coming together when it's time to breed. And speaking of breeding, after a 6-month to 7-month gestation period or pregnancy, mom will usually give birth to only a single baby, in which they will care for until they reach around 6 months old, in which they'll be able to start exploring for themselves. Now, unfortunately, because this animal is not well known, it's not exactly easy for us to pinpoint exactly what the population is for this animal. I think it might even be a little bit more difficult for us to tell whether this animal is highly endangered or not. Right now, I don't think they are, but that makes it a little I would think of it as an oxymoron, because as I may have said in previous episodes, endangered animals are usually the ones that we know very little about. And so it's like, how do we know that they're endangered? It really is one of the few things that scientists or biologists are able to tell you. I can't tell you myself. Now, let's move on to their diet and their foraging behaviors. Now, these guys have a lot of ground to cover. And I mean a lot of ground to cover, especially when they're looking for insects, such as ants or even termites. And it's said that they eat these all year round, while some, it's actually been done with a little study that was done in the Namakaru, which revealed that were mostly predominant prey year round, and then there was also termites. In the winter, when ants are low, termites are more on the menu, and they really do avoid wanting to eat the African driver ant and red ant because of their strong biting force, I suppose. And yet, despite this, they are also known to eat this kind of plant that's actually been given the nickname Aardvark cucumbers. They actually have their own cucumber variety that they will actively eat as well. So it's not always just termites and ants. And as a result, they need to cover a lot of ground just to feed. Now, for today's episode, we're actually going to skip the influence in human culture, and we're just going to go straight into the wild things. So, when they go to sleep during the day, they actually will curl up in a little ball and block their entrance so as to keep other animals out. Not necessarily the predators, but other animals. These little guys, despite their size, they can actually dig 3 meters down in less than a minute. These guys are very great diggers, especially thanks to those feet and claws that are excellent digging tools. And because of their ability of digging, these guys are actually even labeled now as a keystone species, as many different animals like the jackal, the warthog, the bat-eared fox, ground squirrels, and other small animals, even cats and birds, they will actually use these burrows to hide in or to make their own home. Like, for example, the warthog, as you can see in that little picture, the warthog has a bit of a snout that looks like a shovel built into their face, which makes them really great diggers. But instead of digging their own tunnels or their own burrows, they'll usually try and find an aardvark once he's abandoned the site. And the aardvark, a key advantage for the aardvark is that they always have more than one entry available, so that not one animal is going to accidentally find them, and so that they can easily make an escape if they have to for some reason. Now, unfortunately, while we don't know exactly the population and such, we do know that, sadly, these creatures are hunted by poachers for their body parts and for their meats, as some people actually believe that it makes great charm as a good luck charm, and even it's once believed that their teeth are used as a way to prevent illness. I want to know where that originated. And so, another major problem, habitat loss. Habitat loss is as we know, for many animals in the world, it's a major factor in the decline in their numbers. But it's not so. With habitat loss comes logging, agriculture, human encroachment. Now, as I've always said, it's not the human's fault, nor is it the animal's fault. Except for the poaching part, but we're just trying to survive as we can. Thankfully, though, the African Wildlife Foundation is working with many different communities through outreach and showing classes and seminars to the people out there that still live out in the African veldt, how they can continue their way of life without having to endanger other animals' lives, including that of the aardvark. Well, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time I have for this episode, so be sure to join me the next time in the middle of the day as we head down to the Mara River. And I can assure you right now, this next guest does not like to be kept waiting. Next week, we meet up with the Nile crocodile. But until then, this is Safari Mack, and I'll see you all out there.